Hello, this is Maddie from the South Whitley Community Public Library. I'm coming to you with a quick book folding project. It's pretty simple. You don't need a pattern or anything. You can just follow these steps from the one that I've done as an example. There are a lot of pictures in here and I've broken it down step by step, so feel free to just pause whenever you need to if you want to follow along. So to start with, the supplies you need, you will definitely need a book, obviously, and you need a pencil. I used a wooden pencil, if you still have one of those, not a mechanical pencil, just because you need like a thicker lead. A ruler, if possible. You'll need definitely a straight edge, but it also helps to have the measurements also. A binder clip, that's totally optional, but then you will definitely need scissors as well. What you'll do first is you'll mark 1 inch into each page from the edge of the paper. So you'll do this just a standard ruler all the way in, and then you'll mark a line. So here's the line that I did. You'll just go to that 1 edge mark, or 1 inch mark. After you've done the 1 inch, you'll need to do another 1/2 inch inward. So you'll just make 2 lines, and then those will be your guidelines. Next, you will fold the edge inward. So that last edge of the paper is going to fold into your first mark. So your first 1 inch mark. And that folded edge is only going to be a 1/2 inch wide. And then you'll still have the other 1/2 inch mark that was inward after that. You're going to repeat these steps for every page. So each page you'll mark the 1 inch with your ruler, make a straight edge, then you'll do another line at the next 1/2 inch after the 1 inch. Then you'll fold the edge up to the 1 inch line, so you're creating a 1/2 inch folded edge, and then you still have the 1/2 inch. Now you'll do that again and again and again and again for as many pages as you have. I find it helpful to weigh down or clip the pages I've already done. So in the beginning, when I just had a few pages that were flopping around on, where I've already done, I just went ahead and got a binder clip and I put them together. That way they stayed out of my way. But you can also just use a paperweight or another book or something that you have. It's going to take a while, I will warn you. But it is definitely worth it. It's just kind of tedious, but it's also kind of meditative because you're just doing the same thing over and over again. And you can always set it down and pick it up and do something else. Once you've finished marking and tracing and folding all of those pages, what comes next is sketching your design. So this is why you don't actually need a pattern, is because you're kind of creating your own pattern for this book folding project. So I did the word read in all caps. So what I did was I kind of fanned out the pages. I didn't fan them out completely, but I did it enough so that you could fit the whole word on the pages and you could comfortably see where the letters fall. So you just take the pencil and you kind of sketch it and then fill it in like I did with the RE that you see there. And then what you'll do after that is you'll just lay the book down, you'll turn each page, and you'll kind of see where each page, or each letter, where each letter fell. So you'll need to mark the outline. So I just did that. I just do that with a pencil and I just jot it down against the folded area that you already did on each page. Next, you'll have to cut out the letters wherever you've marked them. So wherever you marked, you need to cut out that inside because you're cutting out like the actual meat or the depth of the letter. So you'll cut down and across, and you're only going to cut to that other line that you made, the other guideline that was a 1/2 inch further. So you're going to cut to that and across and make like little squares. And as the letters are taking shape, your cuts are going to create depth, like I mentioned. So each letter is going to be set back into the book. So here's the zoomed out version as I worked. So I started at the end of the book. I started with the letter D. And as you see at the very beginning of the D, when I started on the right, there were very thin cutouts that I did, and then they got wider and wider, and that's what creates the illusion, or I guess the reality of the letter D as you're cutting it into the book. And here's the close-up. And you can always trim, if you think one page looks wonky, you can just cut a little bit off as you go, but that's kind of like the finishing touches part. And depending on the design, you might have to make 2 cuts or even 3. So for this part, this was when I got to this more circular part of the D, I had to cut separately. I had to cut 2 chunks out. So it just depends on what you're doing. And you make sure that you always cut to the line that you marked. That way there's an evenness to the depth of each letter. And look at my awesome bookish confetti I created. That's another fun part of this. If you have like a jar or a bowl that you want to put your scraps in for decoration, they're pretty cool. So I started with the D, so there's what it looks like when I just did one letter, and then is the final result. Sorry, there was a bit of a pause there in my slide. But yeah, there's the final result. So I just took each letter. I think the hardest letter was the A, just because the little thin narrow part in the middle, you have to like make sure you don't cut that out, and it has to like stay in the book. But other than that, it wasn't too terribly difficult. So I hope you enjoyed this craft, and I hope you have fun. Thanks.